Good morning to everyone. I would like to thank Aapresid for the invite and for having this high caliber team with me, this panel. And I would like to thank INTA for allowing me to take part in this Aapresid event. And all of you, thank you. I know that you all want to profit from this session. Some 3 years ago, Aapresid tried to identify future trends and future problems. We had a co-creation workshop, and human capital came up as a strong issue to be addressed in a cross-sectional way. We all have problems when we work with machinery. I'm trying not to use foul language, but we all have problems, right, when we work with machinery. Human capital, who does things, basically, within a complex system that has certain deficiencies, and it is also associated with other more complex systems. Human capital develops and trains individuals to get inserted in a complex system. Human capital has internal and external customers within a company, so it represents a major challenge. Bascocheta, many years ago, said to me, "It is always easier to learn than to unlearn." In 1962, this American thinker saw the trend, and Toffler included it in his book and made it famous. The main challenge today is to unlearn and then learn or relearn. Let's see, if you are looking for final solutions, well, you should look for other sessions, because what we're going to do here is to exchange experiences. I would like for you to introduce yourselves to see who is taking part in this panel. Tell us what you do, what role or do you have in the companies you work for, who pays your salary, and what role does human capital have within your work model? Ricky, can I call you Ricky, Ricardo? Okay, Ricardo. Good morning to everyone. I'm Ricardo, or Ricky. I'm very happy to, and I'm fortunate to do what I like every day. Same as those of us who work outdoors. I'm an engineer specialized in agribusiness. I did an MBA, and then I came to the conclusion that I'm quite a nerd. I like to do things differently. I was invited to take part in this panel as a producer and as a professor, my 2 main hats. When Guille invited me, the first thing I said to him was, yes, I didn't like the title of a session, but human capital in relation to our crops and how we do things, it's not a constraining factor. I think that there's a tremendous opportunity to change things. And Guille asked me, how do you see yourself? Well, in my role as a company director or manager, I see myself as an orchestra director. I have the main instruments in some places. In other areas, I have the best musicians. And in other areas, I have the best music, written music. If I do not combine them in an efficient way, I won't get good results. And we need to contemplate too many variables at the same time. I cannot even explain how complex it is for all the people working for me. Otherwise, they would flee. They would feel that this is too much. It's raining a bit here. Fortunately, in our field plots, it rained a lot. How do I see a person who is handling a machine? Well, I see them as a race car driver. They are not a Formula One pilot or driver. They are rather regular people, John Does, but I try to aspire to that. Well, at the company I work for, and when I work as a professor, I try to steal ideas for agribusiness supply chains. And it's really a mess. Can I use that word, quilombo in Spanish? It's a mess. So I try to simplify things by incorporating machinery to a sustainable process or farmland. Well, it has to do with three things. Technology has to fit the technological package I'm using. If I'm lagging behind in time, the result will be disruptive. So the technology has to match the whole technology package. And this machinery has to be enabled to operate, right? I may have the best machine in the market, but if I have no connectivity, no internet connection, it will not work, right? For example, in our case, we need to have pathways to enter machines, enabling technology, culture, weather, and we know that each company is different, each vendor is different. Last but not least is Nico, Cacho, John, the ones that do things every day. If we do not strike a balance among these three elements, we won't yield results. Which is my customer? Sunflower seed, wheat, corn producers, or grass to feed cattle. Our end customer is these people I'm telling you. Thank you, Ricky. Well, when we put together this panel, we thought about the Fantastic Five. Let's say we want to cover where, when, why, how, and with what. Rick works at a systemic level, and we all do in a certain degree. But he needs to use a tool for his production process. So when we put together the panel, we said we need to bring in somebody who is thinking about developing tools. We went to look for companies, and the same question I will be asking to Enrique, or Pipi, as we call him. Who are you? What role do you think you play in your company, and what would be your ideal human capital model? Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Enrique Bertini. My mom calls me Pipi, and I use this nickname with pride. Maybe it doesn't sound good for an adult, but I'm still Pipi. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm the director of Bertini. We manufacture sewing machinery for the agribusiness sector. And we wanted to share with you our experience. No magic solutions or recipes, but just to share experiences in terms of developing relationships with the workers. In my company, in addition to designing machines and trying them not to break, although sometimes they do, we do see breakdowns, and sometimes we have a hard time in putting our machinery into operation. At the company, sometimes I use the hat as a psychologist. Sometimes when a company is buying a new machine, maybe they take a loan and they buy machines and they believe that this is going to solve problems for them. And at the end of the day, things turn out differently. In the steelworks industry, we also have machinery and tools, highly sophisticated and expensive machines. And whenever we incorporate machines, rather than being able to do away with the worker, we are more dependent on the workers. So I'm a psychologist. I'm the shrink. If a worker had an argument with their wife, if they are having security problems in the area where they live, if one of them got late to work, if one is having problems to make it to the end of the month, to make ends meet. So we need to develop a relationship so that the worker works happily and is efficient. Because you pay working hours, right? But you can never pay for the willingness of a worker to work for your company, the energy and the ability to solve problems. All that is not contemplated in the payslip. It has to do with how this person works with others around them, the relationship. Sometimes it's difficult to understand, and in our case, we are 110 workers at the company. Not every single worker is interested in participating, or not everyone is fit for a specific purpose. Some workers do things in a certain way and are not willing to change. So I'm trying to identify those workers that are worthy of our efforts. Same thing goes for technology. Information today is cross-sectional. I'm at an office on a first floor, and when I go to the plant, to the floor, everyone immediately starts working. They get to work right away when they see me coming. And in the past, they were incommunicated. Now, everyone is highly communicated. If something good happens, everyone finds about it. If something bad happens, it's even faster. So when we come across an issue, we need to keep calm and transmit serenity. We put together a training school within our plant that improves the work environment at our SME. We offered a training course for the children of our workers or the relatives or people they are acquainted with, and that improved our work climate. Engineering is my passion. I'm passionate about drawing and designing, but this is something that I do on my own with my computer and the software. But when it comes to human capital, there are many skills, soft skills, to be developed. So when you buy a high-value product, you need to provide support through human relations. Sometimes we get a machine at a farm producing unit. It could be a mixer, for example. and they wait for the machine to be set at the field to get to see how it works, right? As Mr. Bean. But now they don't have much to share when they are working on their own. They can only talk to themselves. And here we have with us Santiago. Santiago Chueco. What role does human capital have in the companies that call you to step in when things go wrong? Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Let's hope that we can put together our minds to develop ideas. I'm Santiago Radrizzani. I'm an agricultural machine specialist. I work for tractor manufacturing companies for a long time, providing post-sale support, tests, customer support. Many years ago, we came to realize that we needed to add an additional element to make equipment or machinery more productive. We started in Santiago del Estero, and now I'm fully dedicated to what Ricky was saying, what Pipi was saying. People, talent. We need to help people understand how to turn machines into productive machines. All machines were designed taking into account an operator that fully understands the machine. This is why there are adjustments that can be made and a technological software supporting it. Technology facilitates work and makes it more efficient, but it will never, ever replace the skills and knowledge of an operator. When it comes to technology and the agricultural industry, many a time machines get to the plot and we're talking about new machinery, and the product is delivered but not fully put into operation, or the operator that is present when the machine is delivered receives it and he's not the expert. And sometimes we see cases where machines are not set up correctly from start. We're talking about OEM, the manufacturers or vendors of the machines. And sometimes when we're looking for a person, well, I'm very much related to the tractor sphere. It is sometimes it's all about getting lucky and finding somebody who has experience or backgrounds. So, do people really believe that a person cannot be trained to operate a machine? So where's the error there? What's not working? Sometimes we need to see how we retain talent, good operators. What did we do correctly, or what should we do differently than other companies who are also trying to get this talent? As Pipi was saying, the economic terms or wages are the most important factor at the beginning. But then we need to develop a relationship with the workers. The workers need to own what they do, and good leadership is critical to such effect. In corporate structures, sometimes you find maybe two workers that are fully committed or are differently committed to what they do, and they get paid the same. And if we cannot differentiate that, we will be setting the bar too low. There are many things that we need to take into consideration. And we see that finding talent is very difficult in many areas, but we need to find a solution to this. It's not easy. Sometimes we need to gain knowledge or try to research what did other companies do to retain talent and to develop ownership, this feeling of ownership in the workers, because they all deserve to feel that way. But it's hard work,
Me muero por hacer
I'm dying to ask 200 questions more, but we only have 45 minutes, and you are the protagonists. Ricky, what is the best scenario you can envision so that human capital can feel ownership and leadership in the process? And how do you think your role will be in that ideal scenario? Let's dream about it. Thank you. Dreaming is free, so let's dream in a short-term horizon for tomorrow, right? In changing logics as I live them today, from seeding 614 hectares of corn, I have to manage in the next campaign 42 million corn plants to decide and capture the best. That change doesn't matter that it's in my head. If my team doesn't know about it, nothing will happen. So I see here the complex system, machines, workers, operators. From my vision to the actual reality, I need to involve everyone. The agronomist I bag every day, the field workers in charge of the seeds to be in time and manner. And the end client is corn. Corn pays all our salaries, so the quality of sowing, the dispersion per lines, that's what I want. But in 42 million plants, in 33 different microenvironments. So the level of complexity is the one I can operate on in the field. When you put it on a screen in design on an Excel spreadsheet, it's okay, but if it doesn't happen in reality, then you wasted time and money. So a systemic view is essential. If I want to manage 42 million plants, in addition to machinery for harvesting, I won't just harvest plant, I will also harvest data to see if my complex system worked. So it's not just physical, it's digital harvesting too. Next week we're not sowing because it rained so much. But think of the entire organization so that each corn plant bears better. That won't happen if the people who must do it are feeling well. I can dream far-fetched dreams, but if I don't do anything, then it won't be achieved. If my contractor, my operators are not well. Doing well when sitting on the machine, doing well considering how long is it since they last saw their family? Are they feeling well? My F1 pilot can race. He's healthy. The car is doing well, but is he doing well? Dream of the system, operate the system, and have people do well. I'm anthropocentric, I told you as I began. He's in the center. For me, for everyone, and I'm the head of my team, people are in the center of every decision I make. People are the most important ones. I make my decisions based on the people I work with. Otherwise, I won't be able to optimize the system. And I can imagine anything. I can sell you whatever future you want. I can take credits on it. But if I don't consider that at the end of the day, I achieve my dreams by selling meat, barley, soy, corn, and wheat, then I will fail. So where do people fall in my equation? They fall everywhere. In 10 years, the incentives, salaries, structures of these teams might be similar to the ones on mining. Go check out how they do it in Vaca Muerta, because I cannot think of how they are doing it. Learn from those who do it well. Do not reinvent the wheel. Will they have shifts like they have in Australia? I don't know. In 10 years, there may be that. But I need to check the trends, see what happens, and develop solutions with the people I work with. I need to check my stuff. TikTok is a great tool because they use it. My people use it. The youngest people use it. Have connectivity in the booth. I mean, it's not an option not to have connectivity on the workstations. Because I want it for me, so I should want it for others. And I work with contractors. Imagine. So my dream future, well, we dream jointly. I can just tell you that I don't dream on my own. I dream as a team. The motto of the Congress is everything is connected. We have people via streaming watching us now, looking at the number one, the salary payer, and if they don't see it now, they'll see it in a week or later. And sometimes say, when you sell a tool, you sell it via TikTok because someone heard of it, it had so many visualizations. So what's the ideal scenario so that human capital working in your company make the most of it? That's why we asked you to wear the hat of a businessman at the factory. We have one thing in common, producers and industrial workers in this country. We are all SMEs. That's why I'm here. Large companies have systematized processes, so the people working there are less related in this affectional model that we have to program. Within my company, I need the machine to be good so that you use it in the field. So we need a special torque. If a piece is not the quality I want, we set it aside. It's a whole process to comply with. When there was no communication, we failed. We have left industrial stage behind. We're in the digital stage. We don't have a boss. We have a leader. The boss had communication and monetary resources. And the structure can be anywhere, in the army, in the church. But now we lead by example in doing things well. Doing things well, you have empathy with your people. And to reach a client to buy a machine, the client has employees themselves. And the employee needs to be happy with the machine the leader is buying. So the employee needs to be happy with the machine. On autopilot, the employee driving the tractor is looking at TikTok. The cell phone, everyone has it. So we sell the machine through social media, TikTok or whatever other it is, YouTube or anything. In the past, the sales rep would visit the worker, have some mate, spoke to the wife and told them that the money, instead of using it to go on a cruise, they need to put the money on a machine. But now decisions are made differently. It is important for me for the machine to be the best, and for the one receiving the machine, be close to the factory so that the factory knows what they want. Digital technology changes the way we think, and in that process, as Ricardo said, we're thinking over everything. It's a continuous progress to make the most of everything. Thank you, Pipi. I buy the machine, I put it in my production system, and it is, some functions are automated. And it takes down data. How far is the administration from the plot? Thinking that they are paid for a ration and... So what's the best scenario so that human capital feels recognized, acknowledged in the process? And when you are inserted in this cycle, this is something that we should learn in kindergarten now. I know sometimes there is a gap. Pipi and Ricardo pointing it out. Between the project, the idea, and what you see in the field, the person who is resolving matters on the machine, there might be a difference. It's a huge gap. So rethink this feedback. Some training is not useful if within administration people don't have time assigned to do maintenance. You see, there may be differences, there may be gaps. Managing technology, every machine you incorporate with technology, you need to sit down and learn about it. We don't even open the TV manual. We just start clicking on it. You cannot do that on a high-performance machine that your company just acquired. And you cannot put the machine on the hands of a person whose education and training with mistrust. Machines were conceived for people who understand them. Many times they tell me about maintenance problems. Maintenance is not the problem of people. Maintenance is the problem of administration, because they didn't give them the training, they didn't give them in their routine time to do maintenance. When people have free time, they go have mate. They don't go to do maintenance on the machine. So we need a different approach if we want machines to meet the expectations for what we bought them. It's not just a screen. Fortunately, it's hard for us, for the old ones, to go on a screen, but a young guy with a computer, they understand the screen. They learn from a screen. So if you think of efficiency, have them learn.
El otro día charlando, hablábamos de en Europa se bajan del mismo tractor.
In Europe,
Se usa acá y están
they use the same tractor as we use here, and they are dressed up as if they would go to a wedding party. So how much do we use of those tractors? What percentage of the tractor capacity do we use? The installed capacity on tractors, I don't think we reach 50% usage. It has many automation features that we don't use, but that gives you fuel efficiency, and people don't use it. I think it's worse with sowers. A smaller percentage is used, but on tractors, more than 50% of the technology is not used because it has never been explained. Installed capacity in tractors, on machines, technology that aims at efficiency. 2 minutes for each one of you. PP, what is it that we cannot omit to apply mechanized technology in the process you manage? Laser came in and we said, okay, this is one issue less to face. We cannot avoid change. That's the only thing we cannot avoid. I finished engineering and there was no drawing software, so I worked with pens. In 2000, I used a 3D software, and now I use so much more. Laser comes in, CO2 laser, now we have a fiber optic laser, automated folder, robotic folder. We have a young guy that had experience. The old operators didn't want to learn the new technologies, so change is permanent. During the pandemic, we had to reorganize the company and work, and as of that, after dialogue with staff, we relocated a lot of staff who were not comfortable where they were. Through that committee on safety, we learned of this. A lot of people were not comfortable where they were. So things are in constant change. Don't settle down for solutions, because keep going, it will change. PP has foreign clients, and he may remember us sometime. And the internal clients, the employees. You have internal clients, the plants. And as you said, there is a standard for data capture. What is it that you should not avoid? All past time is gone. The labor culture in this regard, more. They tell me, I used to get up at 5 a.m. Well, that's history. We're not doing that anymore. They tell me the residency is awful. And we see it from outside, like living in a hut. I think for us it's normal, but not for others. So all past time is past. If you think of the future, think differently. Think of it with those who will live it, not with us only. And it's not the problem of the contractor. It's our problem. We need to do something about it. Do, collaborate, learn, look what's around you. I'm sure someone else is trying to resolve the same problem too. What the group Kemu is doing in training staff, wow, I don't have to copy them. I just have to join efforts with them. Secondly, our activity is not attractive. No one wants to do what we are doing. The track of Arte Innova was amazing at La Rural. Young people coming over thinking that it's amazing, it's so cool. We need to encourage, train, or retain, generate skills, develop skills, and develop a sense of ownership. Work team results have to do with engineering, capacity, skills. Some people add skills and some people deduct them. If I have a very capable person, but is not good at teamwork, I need to remove him. Skills, capabilities, all are enhanced by attitude, by earning ownership over the project. That is key for work. All right, excellent.
Dejo para el final algunas cosas.
Pero
¿Qué tiene que hacer el proceso?
Well,
Estar conociendo la labor.
the one who is responsible for this process, who needs to know how to work around this, because it's very difficult, as you were saying, to find somebody who's been working for a company for 3 years now, and you are both links of the same chain. So
Desde la administración hacia cuando vos trabajas,
what is it that you need to make sure that you comply with from an administrative point of view? Because sometimes training sessions is like following a calendar, crescent moon or different moons, and we see the different crop phases.
¿cómo te ves vos?
How do you see yourself?
Yo creo que lo fundamental en las empresas, eso que comentaba de los 3 años,
Well,
hay mucha rotación de gente.
there's high turnover in most companies, so what you were saying is critical. At companies, you need to really pay attention to your workers and see how they are doing. Once I went to a farm, and one of the tractor drivers had a mom who was very ill. I talked to the person in charge after 4 days after that, and he didn't know about it. So you're supervising a guy, and you have no idea what he's going through. So companies need to pay attention to the workers, because sometimes you lose talent, you lose people who were very important for your company. And for example, they were disgruntled for something that we were not able to identify at the administrative unit of our company. But then we see that that person really was a key component of the workforce. And we need to invest more time in developing ties, in checking to see how people are individually speaking, taking a worker as a whole person, right? We need to pay attention to that to be able to develop strong work teams.
Como decíamos,
Pipi,
tenemos ideas,
let's do brainstorming.
WhatsApp,
Let's create a WhatsApp group.
ideas,
Ideas
todos estos años que
that come from your experience after so many years.
alrededor tuyo.
Because you are the founder, you are the creator of Bertini. Well, SMEs are part of the society. Small and medium-sized enterprises are a very important part of society, and human capital is very important in them. So we need to improve, allow for more dialogue within the companies, and as an SME, we need to follow the example of larger companies that have more systematized processes and more teamwork. But as Chueco was saying, maybe the salary is very important for a person, but if you ask them about their mom and how she's doing, it's even more important. Or if you ask them how their children are. In Rosario, we have deficient healthcare services. So as a company or as a person, we sometimes need to provide support to others. So we're constantly developing our relationships. My dad got started with the shop, and many of our relatives started working together at this SME, but always in a responsible manner. Chueco, can you share a couple of ideas, like quick wins or tips? How do we improve this? We need to invest in people. Because at the end of the day, we have one person operating a huge machine, and our yield depends on that. Sometimes talking to people, you discover that some people have very important work ethics and high values that were hidden. In some other cases, we know that these workers, well, we need to try and get rid of them as soon as we can, but others are a different case, and the mentality is totally different, so we need to change our mindsets. Well, you were laughing when we were talking about the apostle, the terrorist, the hitman. Can you share 2 quick tips with us? If you do not measure it, you do not learn. It's easy to say, right? But difficult to do. If there are no positive incentives, no changes will be achieved. And by incentives, I go beyond salaries or wages. We have the elephant in the room, right? We need to take the elephant in the room into consideration. We won't be able to leverage our tractors and the technology. We won't be able to optimize a harvesting top of the line machine if we don't see the elephant in the room, which is an exacerbated tax pressure on the industry, on the sector, because it complicates everything, right? By that we talk about high withholdings. We need to make sure that that is in place so that when we discuss or we talk with BP, we are only talking about work. And we saw a reduction in the price of soybean in the past 40 years. But we need to know that an iPhone 15 that my children would love to have in the US 30 days ago was worth 2.5 tons of soybean. In Brazil, somewhere around 5. And in Argentina, the price of an iPhone is 16 tons of soybean, and we're talking about the same soybean. So it's wonderful to talk about the future and to try and change things, but unless we fully understand that there are other elements preventing us from doing things right, most likely the incentives will differ. So I have to try and see the whole picture, and the whole picture includes the elephant in the room.
Para concluir,
To conclude, Ricky,
decía hace años estábamos a 13 horas del Parque del Show.
many years ago we were 13 hours away from the Farm Progress Show, and now we're 13 years away from the Farm Progress Show. The iPhone is still the same. It is the same technology, and it is more and more costly for us to acquire the same technology. Thank you, friends. Thank you. And with this, we conclude the session.